We're on the floor of the 2019 LA Auto Show, next on Talking Cars. Hi, welcome back. I'm Mike Quincy.
I'm Jake Fisher.
I'm Gabe Shenhar.
So we're on the floor of the LA Auto Show. We spent the last couple days walking around, taking in all this that's cool and new about what's going on in the world of cars, going to press conferences, and the theme that we keep coming back to is, no surprise, electrification.
Yep.
Plug-ins, full EVs, the whole thing's going on. And we've got a number of notable cars here. Most specifically, I think what's getting the most buzz is the Ford Mustang Mach-E. I think it certainly looks the part of a Mustang. What were your guys' take on this?
I think it's the star of the show, even from before the show started.
Yeah.
I think Ford is totally in the right direction. Their greatest possession is the Mustang name and is a sub-brand. That's what they should capitalize on, and making that an EV and an SUV at that is a great move. Right price, I mean, the right kind of shape.
Do you think there's anything wrong with them using the Mustang label on a vehicle like
I mean,
this?
it's funny because that's kind of the most controversial thing.
Right.
It's like, how can it be a Mustang? A Mustang's supposed to be a coupe and a sports car and all this stuff. And you know what's cool about it, and what we're seeing a lot is that they're breaking the rules, right? I mean, the rules is what a Mustang is. I mean, look, we have a lot of cars that are offering these kind of like SUV-ish, crossover-ish electric vehicles, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, okay, that's a market, and they could have made it like it could have been a Lincoln, but they're like, as Gabe says, there is this equity with the Mustang name, and let's go break some rules. Right. Let's go call it a Mustang. Let's give it some of that flavor to it. It doesn't have to be a luxury vehicle. It's sporty, and when you get down to electric vehicles are sporty. They drive really nice. They tend to handle really well because they got all the batteries down low and they have low center of gravity. They're quick. They got instant torque. Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's a really neat way to go. Yeah.
And everyone has a soft spot for a Mustang. I mean, I can't even tell you how many people, like friends, and that rotate leases between Audis and BMWs and look at a Mustang and say, well, maybe this time I should get a Mustang.
You're not saying I want a Lincoln?
No. But then, two-door only and all-wheel drive, and then their wife put some sense in them and it's a non-starter. Right. So now, with that, I mean, that opens a whole new ball game.
Right.
And thinking outside of the box, you could say the same thing about Corvette. How come, mid-engine and that's not a Corvette really, but
let's think it further.
The end result is terrific.
Well, I think we need a Corvette hybrid or full electric pickup truck, and I think that we need a Dodge Viper hybrid minivan. You guys can use those.
We laugh, but it might be
But I mean,
the future
why not turn
pretty
them into
soon.
brands? I mean, why not? I mean, people are excited by these names, so more power to them.
On to the next one. We could probably talk about the Mach-E for hours.
All right,
anyway,
let's get back to the Mustang.
Okay. Mercedes-Benz EQC, talking about maybe 250-mile range. Does this have some substance to it?
Well, let's be careful. 250-mile range, as far as I know, is according to the WLTP, which is the European standard. Let's just be careful here because the EPA doesn't have an estimate for it yet, so I won't be surprised if it ends up being around 200 miles when it lands here.
But Mercedes is not sitting on their hands. They're jumping into this too. I was kind of dismayed to read that this is going to have the same Mercedes controls that we have issues with. It's too bad that they couldn't have changed that up. But
it's basically a GLC, which is a compact luxury SUV, which is a really nice car. But I mean, it gets the MBUX infotainment system, and that while it has a broad range of capabilities, it's a little frustrating.
It's another one, right? It's again, not like I'm going back to the Mustang, a little bit different, a little bit exciting. It's another. I mean, look, everyone's doing this, right? We got the Audi with the E-Tron, we got the Jaguar with the I-Pace. A luxury crossover-ish thing, fully electric. They want to play too.
All right, which you brought up, Audi, the E-Tron Sportback, kind of stylish.
Yeah.
Nice looking. But again, another big name car company saying we're into this EV market, And what was interesting to me is, it seems to me, you indulge me for a second, they all seem to be kind of bowing to the temple of Tesla, because they've got the big screens, the big touch screens. They're really fast. They're talking about the over-the-air updates, this whole thing that is really been ushered in by Tesla. They're
Sure.
all taking a page from their book, whether they want to admit it or not.
No, it's true. I mean, look, Tesla innovated in a lot of different ways, and now we're seeing the rest of the industry kind of catching up to that and trying to steal that excitement. Whether or not they are or not, I'm not sure.
Right.
Because I think Tesla still kind of has a different aura about it
Yeah.
than these companies that have been around.
But
for
that's
100
almost
years.
why they're like the temple, because they preside over almost everything, it seems, these days in the automotive world.
Well, it's no secret that Tesla has been a wake-up call for the rest of the industry, and Tesla completely threw out the rule book and reinvented a lot of things. And when traditional automakers are seeing that and seeing what kind of a coveted brand Tesla has become and what kind of a cult following it developed, they are saying, hey, we're not going to just sit idly by and see Tesla siphoning our customers. We're more established, we can do it even better.
But with that in mind, I mean, EV sales in the US are, probably less than 2%. And one automaker specifically is saying, I'm not sure if we're going to be drinking the Tesla Kool-Aid, and that would be Toyota.
Yeah.
And Jake, you brought up a really good point when we were
did.
talking about this. Imagine that, yeah.
Every once in a
You
while.
actually do have to earn your paycheck. but Toyota, their approach isn't all about EVs.
Right. So Toyota is distinctly not kind of following everyone else and kind of like, okay, let's do that too. I mean, they kind of go their own way. And I mean, you go back in time, I mean, they've been doing the hybrid synergy drive or whatever. I mean, that's been like over 20 years, and they just keep on refining that, and they're devoted to hybrids. They're talking about, just a few years, 25% of their products are going to be hybrids, and we test them, and yes, they're reliable, and yes, they're affordable, and yes, they get incredible
Super fuel
economy.
efficient. Yeah.
Every generation is more efficient than the previous one.
And they're not going down this road of battery electrics. What they did show was this the RAV4.
The RAV4 Prime.
Which kind of took me for a curveball, because I thought it was like, oh, okay, we got the hybrid RAV4, and now we're gonna have a little plug-in or whatever, just like the Prius Prime. But no, this is a performance model. 0 to 60, they're up in 5.8 seconds, which makes it the second fastest Toyota after the Supra.
According to Toyota, that's exactly what they said.
Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of really interesting. So do the performance and do the environmental stuff all together. But they are not giving up on just no powertrain, no engines, right?
Right.
And we got the second generation of the Toyota Mirai, which is
Fuel cell car.
fuel
Yep.
cell car, which is an electric car.
And actually very attractive. I thought it was really good looking.
It looks a little bit more mainstream and less science project. But they're devoted. They think that's the long term. I mean, we're not there because obviously you need an infrastructure to get hydrogen to the vehicles, but it does have a lot of promise. It does make sense. I mean, just to give you kind of perspective, and you're talking about what was it, 400 miles range and 5 minutes to charge, if you will. It takes 5 minutes to fill it with hydrogen.
Hydrogen.
So you can't do that with battery electrics.
Right. I think that you got to give Toyota credit for, as you said, sticking with these things. I mean, they didn't for example, right out of the box have a formidable off-road pickup truck, but they stuck with the Tacoma. They kept making it reliable. Actually, it's fallen on slightly hard times up, but they have this reputation for being a strong off-roader, and the resale value of even used Tacomas is really so. Toyota just keeps with the first Prius that they put out was this kind of a dumpy little car, and they're just sticking with it.
Yeah.
Clearly, Toyota is a very careful and conservative kind of company, and it's tiptoeing its way into the electric world. It's very established in hybrid, and it's been on record a few times saying that, hey, I mean, we're not thinking that the battery technology and the charging, the length of charging is there yet, and we're not seeing any. Toyota is a company that, nobody at Toyota gets up in the morning if they are doing something that doesn't bring an immediate benefit and makes money. So they are very calculated and very measured.
I think
that's
long
And
term.
they're thinking long term, and they're thinking customers, and what are customers gonna embrace as Toyota customers.
Right, and you said if battery technology does take this big jump, they can just start dropping those into a lot of their existing vehicles anyway.
Yeah.
So in some ways they're almost leveraging their situation, because they're going to be ready for whether the battery revolution comes or it doesn't come.
Right.
So anyway, EV sales I think are likely going to grow in the future. I mean, they're not there yet but certainly the car companies are making steps to make sure that they're ready
getting more affordable
when they start ramping up.
Yeah.
So the other theme that we were talking about was performance. It's definitely not dead, but it really looks different than it used to.
Yeah. So look, I mean, here's the amazing thing, right? In a time of, fuel efficiency, cars getting more fuel efficient, and the environmental standards are increasing, we've got powertrains and performance like we never have. I mean, everybody, think about the 60s and the muscle cars. Like, they got nothing on today's vehicles. I mean, we got so many vehicles, 600, 700, 800 horsepower. It's unbelievable. But now they're putting them into SUVs and crossovers and everything. And the sports cars of today are like,
Mercedes AMGs and Audi SQ,
but not like the coupe, but like the AMG GLS, which is like the big 3-row SUV, and it's amazing. So BMW, we saw Mercedes-Benz with the M's. I mean, it's phenomenal the amount of performance and power that they're getting out of these.
Yeah, the people have worked hard. They say, well, I kind of earned a sports car at this stage of my life. What am I going to get? A Porsche Macan. Right. I mean, one of you guys brought that up yesterday. I was like, well, that's perfect. Exactly. That's what people are going for.
Well, who says sports car needs to be low to the ground, that you have to you crouch in there, and who says it has to have only 2 doors?
Right. Well, I mean, we were just over our shoulders is the Audi booth and all those Audi RS series. They almost all of them have 4 doors and hatchbacks design and stuff like that. I mean, that's
4-door coupe.
Exactly.
I was over at the Toyota. There's a TRD version of the Toyota Avalon. I mean, like, how crazy is that?
Who would have thunk?
I know, right?
A driving excitement.
Yeah.
But no, there's still some buzz over the new Supra, the new Corvette. I mean, so it's not 100% dead. But I just thought it was so interesting that how the three of us grew up, what a sports car was, and how completely different it is now.
Yep.
So that kind of brings us to our next segment, which is kind of other show notables. We don't want to do short shrift to other vehicles, and some of them that we've covered on consumerreports.org, including the Nissan Sentra, the Land Rover Defender. What other vehicles kind of jumped out at you guys?
I just want to hang on the Defender for a second. I mean, that's kind of an interesting vehicle, right?
Yeah, I love the way it looks. I mean, nothing has more swagger than that Land Rover Defender. I mean, there are a few questionable details about it that Jake is going to tell us about, right?
You could read my mind. Like clairvoyant. I have no idea. Because we never talked before the show, so I mean, it's amazing how you do that. So, well, I mean, first of all, yeah, it's really interesting. And like, first of all, you got to get past the fact that, Land Rover has 30,000 SUVs that are all like these luxury SUVs. So it's kind
of all on top of each other.
They're all on top.
And
a lot of them
price
share
ladder.
Platforms, and then they all overlap. So you get past that for a little bit. I think that the interesting thing to remember about the Defender is it's kind of like their Wrangler. I mean, this is kind of like bare bones, back to the basics, and they have the Defender 90 and the 110. So the 90 is this short wheelbase, like really stubby.
A 2-door.
A 2-door,
right? That blew me away.
And you look at like the, the approach
the 90
angles.
has always been a 2-door.
But I mean, when was the last time a 2-door anything was introduced?
Well, but I mean, the Defender,
yeah.
I mean, hasn't been around for like 20 years or something. So I mean, you got these short approach angles, and it's kind of interesting looking. I think that I just can't get over, is this weird square of plastic that they smacked over the back of this car just to make sure you can't see out of the car. Just to make sure you got that, because you don't want to have like 3/4 view so you could change lanes or anything like that. It is really hard to see out of it. But you look at that vehicle. So there's the 2-door and there's the 4-door, the 110. And there's some interesting things about it. One is you could get the 3 across seating in the front. Mm-hmm. So you could do like a 6-seater. You could also get one with a 3rd row, which I actually got back there, which I think I almost needed the jaws of life to get back out of.
The jumps, you say jump seats? Jump seats, right?
Well, no. I mean, so jumps, it
seats?
used to be these jump seats that went on the side. But it's like a normal, flip out 3rd row that's like normal, but it's like really, really tiny.
You need
but
to be a gymnast to get in there.
But you can't see out. So you get back there and there's really no glass for you to see out, so it just, I would get nauseous back there, other than,
But you have heated seats there.
You can get heated seats.
Well, but I totally agree. The styling looks great. It's square.
It's different.
It's blocky. There's like aerodynamics. So the Nissan Sentra, I mean, it's not a totally exciting car, but Nissan's not giving up on regular passenger cars, are they?
Yeah, and it's lower and
Yeah.
and wider and looks much less dowdy than the previous generation. And interestingly, they have independent rear suspension in that car, in an era where the Mazda 3, which was the sporty of the bunch
Entry level car.
Yeah, and now Nissan Sentra has that. So it's
They're taking it seriously, and we just were in it just a few minutes ago, and you get in the interior. I mean, obviously it's a high trim version or whatever, but it's like they have some pretty nice interiors in the Sentra. I mean, with like all this pleated fabrics and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, and they have a whole bunch of safety features as standard, including blind spot warning. So Toyota, take note. I mean, you think the Corolla is pretty comprehensive about that? They have blind spot warning.
Well, standard.
Standard,
right? So
yeah.
you can get it, but
Right.
And we remember when the Sentra SER was actually a cool, affordable, fun-to-drive car. I'm wondering, with this more expensive suspension system they're putting in it, would maybe one of those in the future? Any
Maybe.
guesses?
I don't know.
Maybe.
we'll have to drive it.
An affordable car that's actually fun to drive. So any other notables?
Yeah, I mean, there's another theme here in this show, and it's all the tiny SUVs that keep cropping up like mushrooms here. It's the Mazda CX-30, the Kia Seltos, the Buick Encore GX, the Chevy Trailblazer, exactly. So these are all kind of, slicing the SUV spectrum in all kinds of ways, and so it's like between the subcompact SUVs and the compact SUVs, somewhere in between. And that's it's a pretty sweet spot of the market. I mean, they're all going to be like in the mid-20s, low to mid-20s.
It is, but there are just so many of them. I mean, I shot the video for the Trailblazer this morning, and we did a comparison. It's like between the Chevrolet Trax and the Chevrolet Equinox, and the cameraman and I, we were walking around. I was like, which is which? That's the Traverse. No, that's not it. No, and again, you almost have to go to the back side of the vehicle to see the label to make sure that you're talking about the right one.
It's almost difficult for us to. I mean, we score all these vehicles and we have all these ratings, and we sit there and put our heads together, and traditionally there's small SUVs and mid-sized SUVs. There's like small and a half, and a little bit compact and compact and a half.
Compact plus.
I mean,
It's a whole continuum now.
It is. We always have to really rethink the way we even rate these things because there's so many slices of it. Yeah.
So we've covered this SUV saturation. They're just everywhere. But stepping outside of SUVs, literally, what was the favorite vehicle that you saw at the show?
So look, there's a lot of stuff here, but I mean, I think I really appreciate innovation, something different, right? I mean, there's lots of SUVs and high performance SUVs, and there's sports cars that are fast and all that. For me, it's the Mustang Mach-E. It is breaking the rules. It's doing something different. It's a sports car, SUV, electric. It's kind of a different take on stuff, and I think I'm actually really looking forward to getting my hands on one and driving it and purchasing one. I guess we're gonna have to get on the waiting list right now, right?
Yeah.
Gabe?
I'm really pumped about the Mach-E as well, and but I mean, I'm a little cooled off by the interior of it. It's a little drab there, but if I were Ford, I'd use the 10 months that they have until it goes to market to spruce up the interior, maybe. And I also I'm really excited about the Land Rover Defender. It's I mean, that car has such an attitude that it's hard to ignore it, and I can't wait to put our hands on that one too.
Well, I mentioned before. Thanks for asking. Oh, I mentioned before.
How about you, Mr. Quincy? What do you think? What do you like?
I mentioned before. I like the Mirai. I like the styling, but then I looked at it and I said, it kind of looks like an Avalon. So I'm backing back from that, and I do appreciate.
You're waiting for the TRD.
Right,
Mirai.
exactly.
That's what you're waiting
I
for,
do
right?
appreciate that they are going into the fuel cell and that whole technology push.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, I was blown away by the Audi RS6 Avant. Now, you're just like, I want something new. I want something innovative.
You want to go back?
I want something old, like a really, really cool hot wagon.
Yeah.
I was.
Everybody loves wagons these days,
sat
right?
in there and I felt the Alcantara steering wheel, and I'm like,
The rich Corinthian leather?
oh,
or something?
it was so cool. I mean, I
All right.
really, really liked it.
All right.
Well, listen, that's about all the time we have. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.